the meeting to order.
Can I just ask to go out of order? And just let you know that I did speak with Rick Schultz, and he is feeling a little bit better. He's on oxygen. He regrets the absences from this group. He's still very dedicated to the CPC, and he wanted me to thank everyone for letting him try to get well, and understanding that this is not anything that he brought upon himself or did himself, but
So why is he on oxygen?
he's got very serious lung infections. He was in the hospital for a while, and then he was back in and out of the hospital, and he's recovering a little bit, but the cold is kicking the crap out of him. So, but he's still very interested in his position on this committee, and appreciates our indulgence in putting up with the absences. I told him not to worry. Thank you.
Okay.
Tell him we wish him well and hope he has a speedy
Feels
recovery.
better.
Yeah.
First item is the clerk's report, October 3rd, 2019 minutes. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
If it pleases the chair, I'm willing to make a motion for both.
Okay,
I motion that we accept the October 3rd, 2019 and November 7th, 2019 minutes as
okay.
presented.
I have a motion to accept
Second.
the meeting minutes of October 3rd and November 7th, 2019. It's been moved and there's been a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Only got one aye.
Aye.
Two.
Ken's making
And-
sure we didn't assign anything to him in the November one.
I'm good seconding that, even though I missed the October meeting on my
Yeah, I did too,
Army
that's what I'm
reunion.
looking at.
I'm
Great.
just waiting for a third vote. One, two, three, fourth vote, sorry. All right, so all those, I declare the motion carried, sorry about that. Treasurer's report for December. And Ken just gave everybody a copy of that.
Okay, it's, no changes, since the town meeting. Everything that we, projected happened. And so, although you can't see it, the, May 2020, sections in each of the categories is highlighted in light blue, and that's what's coming up. The only thing we know about is the transfer of the affordable housing reserve to the trust, down at the bottom there, under reserve funds. So, this shows that we don't have a whole lot of money to grant at this time, but next year we'll have more.
Well, we've got our bills covered though, so.
Right, so there's $284,000 available.
Ken, did you get the notes about, the state match?
I did. So the state match is actually a little bit higher than we projected, but, maybe it's, $30,000 or $40,000 higher.
I think it's only like 1.5% higher than what you projected.
Right, so it's not materially different, and so maybe instead of 284,000, we have 300,000 or something like that, but it's not material. And it's still not, the last time I heard, it still looked like it wasn't nailed.
No, because they still haven't decided on the, I call it the surplus, the contingent.
Right, that's why I didn't change it, because it wouldn't make,
That's really late this year, isn't it? Don't they normally have that decided by now?
it is late this
It
year.
is late. It has to do with the surplus and determining what they're gonna do with it.
They do that every year. I just don't know why it's
Well, I think
taking so
everything
long.
slowed down with the length of time it took the House and the Senate to pass the budget for this year. That just slowed everything else down.
Makes sense.
Okay.
So that's it. So we may have a little bit more money than this, but next year, we'll get another $500,000 to add to this, so we'll be back in the game again next year.
looking ahead at, in terms of funding for projects, I know,
Super Park?
Super Park, yes, thank you. Is gonna be seeking funds, and I don't know how much, and I don't know if, because they do have some town money already, and at what cycle of the library project, because that won't be completed until probably May or June of 2021. So I don't know if they will start maybe next fall, you know, a year out, to get warrant articles to, the project can't start really until the library's finished or substantially finished.
Right.
So, I mean, that's something that we need to keep on our back burner, and I don't know if there are other projects that we're trying to keep, big ticket items, you know.
Well, it'd be better next year than this year.
Right, that, there's actually money to help with that project at that point, so, okay.
If we can make it past June, then we'll have some more money.
Any other comments about the treasurer's report or finances?
So I'll move that we accept the treasurer's report.
Okay, I have a motion to accept
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Declare the motion carried. The next item is consultant,
No.
whoop,
The meeting that Ken and I had with Stuart
oh, sorry.
about the change in the reserve.
Skip that. For
Ken, I
the new
briefly
warrant
talked
scare.
about this
Yep.
in November, but we thought it might be best to wait until you were back.
So, I'm trying to refresh my memory.
It's on the back.
Yes, one of the things that Stuart said is that there is no need to do the correction that we customarily do in the reserve amounts, which we do in, we do the corrections
Spring.
at the special town meeting, right? He said that unless it's materially different, we don't need to do them. And we basically looked at all of our past ones to, and say, well, is this material, was that material? And the answer was always no.
Nice work.
They said that none of the ones that we have done in the past were material, so we did not have to do them.
Because the DOR, he said they never specifically defined what material is, but they said it needs to have like a 50% impact
Yeah, 50%.
for, you know,
That's a pretty big impact.
it's a big impact.
So everything else is de
50% of
minimis?
what?
Yeah,
The overall
change, because
cost.
what
De minimis,
happens,
that's exactly right.
what'd you say?
De
Minimis.
minimis.
De minimis,
Everything
yeah.
else is de minimis.
Everything is, yeah. So,
Good work.
we set our reserves, and then what happens is we get the actual, state match number,
Yep.
which then would define what the exact reserve needs to be. We've always done a true up, but we're truing up like $1,000, 2,000 on $50,000.
So if it's.
Actually, it's on $500,000.
I'm sorry, 500,
Because
You're right.
the state match is actually a small fraction of the revenue because it's not 100% anymore. If
Yep.
it were 100%, it would be half. And if
Yes.
it doubled, it would be 25% more. But it's not close to that. And so right now, if it's in the 20% range, and even if it doubles to 40%, it's still a small percentage of the total.
Okay.
And so he's saying we don't have to do that. So we can decide to stop doing that. In fact, the recommendation is that we stop doing
Yeah,
that.
and that makes it easier.
Yeah, it just removes, it
Yeah.
removes 3 or 1 triple warrant. On the
Saves
spring
10 minutes
special
off of
town meeting.
town
Yeah.
meeting.
right,
So I think that we should take that advice.
yeah.
Yep.
One question I have on that advice, remind me, do we do any sort of report to the town annual report that is handed out at town meeting?
We
Once a year.
have done,
Not the
ever
warrant,
since we started, it's, Joanne's picked it up, but it's submitted in January, and it's included in the book that you get at town meeting.
Yep.
And it includes
Yeah.
all of our expenses, everything we've done, all our projects, our members.
I thought so, I was just double checking.
And we're very, at least, we've been very detailed in what we
Yeah.
give, probably more information than most people
Yeah,
are interested in knowing.
yeah, my only comment on that is that if we're not having this in warrant articles, I think it should be mentioned in there that we're truing up in this, amount. that
No,
was
no,
gonna
no,
be.
no, no, we're not truing up at
Well,
all.
not
We're not gonna. tru-
correcting our, like, what we
Deficient.
used to do in the warrant article, I think it should be in that report that goes in the annual report for the town meeting.
Why? That we're not doing it anymore?
No,
No,
not
he
that,
means just the
the amounts.
corrected amounts. Like
Oh, I
say-
don't agree. I
Well, the-
don't-
We're
I-
not
and I
gonna
don't think
need to
Stuart would
correct
agree
it
with
any
that.
longer, because we're gonna be rather than doing this in October, we're gonna be doing it in May, and in May, we will have the actual real number.
okay.
And
We
so
would
you-
be reporting numbers that differ from the town books if we did that. Do you understand what I mean? If you're asking us to say that the reserve should have been X, but we're not doing the true up, we're keeping it at Y?
No, I'm not asking for that. More my thought is like we do the vote at town meeting and it's passed. We've done the vote at town meeting, then we correct that in the special meeting. I'm saying if we're not doing a vote to correct, but we have a vote in one way.
We're not correcting. I think that's the piece. So
Yeah.
what we're going to stop doing is making an adjustment to our reserve amount at special town meeting.
Yeah.
We're gonna set that reserve, and that will be it, unless the state match quadruples or something, you know, at which point we would need to, because the DOR would require it.
Okay,
But what we're
yeah.
doing something the DOR does not require right now.
I misunderstood.
Yeah,
I
okay.
misunderstood. I thought we were still making that change,
No,
just
no,
not
no,
going
no,
to town
no.
meeting to do it.
No.
Oh, no, we
because-
couldn't do that.
That's
We
what I
couldn't
was.
do that, No.
Yeah, that's what my confusion
Right,
there.
okay.
Okay, so,
yeah, no,
so
change won't
it's
be
clear
made.
that now that we're just going to not do the special town meeting thing.
Yeah,
But we
Okay.
won't need to,
Right.
Because we don't end up.
because our numbers will be accurate,
Right.
that's right. There's no need for it.
because it's the delay.
Well,
We've been doing it in October, and we're delaying to do it until May.
did he recommend that? I don't
Are
think-
we backing it up?
No, we're still gonna do it in October.
We're still doing it in
But we're just
October?
going to, we're gonna make an estimate and stand with the
Oh.
estimate.
No, he did recommend too that we did it in May, because remember, the other issue that came up was he recommended that we do one CPA fund budget article in
Oh.
May, and it would cover,
And all your financials should
it
be
covered
at
the
May
appropriation.
anyway.
right, and it would do the reserves, because we were one of like a handful of towns that were doing the reserves in the fall. And remember, that was when he said, the only reason we get away with it is because we have Ken Holberger. He said, the minute you're gone, we wouldn't be able to maintain this
So, we would do the reserves
in May.
in May at the annual, we would do them for the coming,
That sample that's in there, this
so
is
we're
what
doing it at
this,
the May annual town meeting.
Right, so flip the page, that thing I gave
So
you.
So we're going to delay them or advance them? We're gonna delay them.
Delay it.
I think we're delaying
that's
them.
what it would look like.
So the May town meeting is for the upcoming, the next fiscal year. Okay. We can do that.
Because we did them in the, because typically, so, we did them in the fall for 2020, right?
Yeah.
We did them this fall for 2020. We were in 2020 when we did it. What we're gonna do now is do them in May, so 2 months in advance.
So the May town meeting vote is going to be for fiscal year 2021 for our
Reserve.
reserves.
We'll cover our admin budget and the reserve.
And is that basing on the state match from fiscal year 2020 or from 2021? Like, are we estimating?
2020.
It's a 2021 one.
You know what? I'll confirm with him.
Yeah, we just gotta make sure that we, we're
maybe
we're
we
doing
are
it for
doing
the
it-
right year. Because if we delay doing it, we're doing it in kind of, I think that we do it in October for the year that is in force in October.
Right, because it has to be done before the tax rate is set. The reserves have to be done before the tax rate is set.
Well, when they announce the payout, for like the one that we're waiting to hear on,
Right.
that'll be for next year or this year?
That's for the current year, isn't it?
Well, it's almost the end of the year.
But
then,
it-
right?
Yeah,
It's-
the payout is for the current year.
It's a
Current
payout for the
fiscal
current
year.
year,
But
But they're already a year behind.
But it's based on prior year revenue, so there's a percentage for state match that's been determined for 2020, but that's gonna be applied to 2019 revenue.
Yeah, well, it's calculated from 2019
Yeah.
revenue. And right now, it comes out in October in fiscal year 2020.
Right.
And we're saying that we're going to do it in May. And so are we doing it, we're already doing, in October, we're already doing it just before they announce it. And so we would have to do it at the special town meeting because it's going to be for the prior year.
Yeah.
Let me confirm with
We
him.
would have to do it at the special town. If we're going to delay that, we'd have to do it at the special town meeting.
That looks back.
Looking.
Town meeting
well-
looks forward.
Well, looking,
For
not
money.
quite looking back, but almost done with the year. We'd be doing it for the year that's almost done in May.
The only reason I'm arguing with you on this is that if you look at the reserve, the article that he sent as an example, it has in it the estimated, the committee administrative expense. He's suggesting in one article, we cover the committee administrative expenses, which would happen at annual town meeting,
Yeah,
as well as the reserve.
I-
So he's forward-looking because they're all fiscal year 2018.
So if we're forward-looking, then what we want to do is, what we're doing is we're not delaying it, we're advancing
We're
it.
advancing it, which is what I said the first time.
And so it makes it even more of an estimate.
It makes it a big estimate.
Because we don't even know what so if we're doing that in May, let's just say May 2019 for fiscal year 2020, we don't even know what the revenue ended up at 2019.
Right,
Because we make all those estimates based on 2019 revenue, which we won't know until September.
right.
And we're making these guesses in May. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
We don't have to change it.
We don't have to change it, and we should consider not changing that part of it, because that just makes the estimate even squirrelier.
Unless our assumption is wrong.
No, I
Except
think-
if you look at the article, the example article that he gave us, you're talking about fiscal year 28 revenues to set up the administrative expenses. That happens in May. That's in essence our budget, right? And then he's also talking about fiscal year 2018 revenues for the reserves. So it's all,
And so if we're doing this before the 2018, in this case, 2017 even starts, we don't even know right now, we take our actual prior
we're-
year revenue and increase it by 2.5%, and that's the mandated way to estimate the revenue for the upcoming year. In
But-
this case, if we do it in the special town meeting, we won't even have finished the prior year to make that estimate.
Right.
right.
So we'd be making the estimate based on 2 years back, which would make it worse of an estimate. So we can get back to him and ask for clarification.
Boy, I had a
about
good
that
handle on
particular-
this before we started.
So if we don't announce that, whatever the true-up amount is, so we come out with our next treasurer's report, you will true it up in the treasurer's report? We're just not.
Yeah, it shows
we're just
up.
not
It'll show up
doing
in
anything
the
at
special
town
town meeting under, okay, if you look at the top box, and you see the May 2020 special town meeting,
Top box of what, I'm sorry?
you're looking at the treasurer's report.
Oh, okay.
For the revenue box,
Yep.
look towards the bottom, it says May 2020 special town meeting, corrections.
Yep.
That's where the corrections have always gone, where we've always done the corrections, because at that time, we knew what the actual state match was. Normally, we do the reserves up in the, if you look up to the second block in that box, you can see the 3 reserves at the
Yeah.
October semi-annual town meeting. That's when we typically do them, and then we would correct them in May. And so, one of the suggestion is we don't need to correct them. The other suggestion is that we do them in one combined warrant, which we can certainly do.
Yeah.
And so we could combine them into one warrant, we can do that one easily. But if we want to move them to a different town meeting in a different cycle, we need to consider that.
Okay.
And the administrative reserve is done at the annual town meeting. That's the May annual town meeting.
I mean, this is all, so when, I mean, at May town meeting, we have an estimate of what revenue for the town is going to be.
We have an estimate that's a year old, but we won't know what the actual is from which we have been making our estimate until September.
I would say talk to him again to get further clarification rather than,
But
Yeah,
how-
I think that we should,
Trying to
we should
figure
go
out-
for some
We have
further
Ken talk to
clarification.
him.
Some of his recommendations we can easily do. This one is a little
Okay,
questionable. But we can definitely combine the three reserves
You
into
guys did.
one.
Get it together.
And if we do it in October.
but to find out if all other towns do it in May,
they do.
That's what Upton was saying
Then
We're
there.
the
What-
oddball.
what year are they
So
doing?
what I'm saying
Are
is,
they doing
if
it in
you,
May, or are they doing it for?
Right, what year?
It would have to
Special
be
or
for the
annual?
upcoming year. But their
but
estimates,
think
No,
about, the
or what
town
number?
the town knows what they're expecting in property tax revenue, because otherwise they can't build a budget, right? And in May, that's when all of that work is done and the budget's passed, right? So we have an estimate of what the CPA revenue would be. Because it's 1.5% of the you following me?
no, it would be that very number that the town's using.
Right, so,
And it's not based on this, the only number that, for the 10% is the towns.
So we could use the town's estimate.
right, because that's what we're.
That would be, so we could do it that way.
And because I think that's how it's done in this example.
Yeah, I think you're right, you're right.
That makes sense.
And the match is only on the town share.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yes.
so,
So it's like if we got 50-50,
right.
you know, we're excluding the state match for the 10% reserve. We're only reserving 10% on the local funds, the town of Grafton funds, right?
I don't know that that's true. don't
No,
know
I
that.
think we reserve on the state match as well,
So the 100%, okay.
yeah.
okay, the last recommendation is that we change the name of one of our chart of accounts,
Yeah.
which I absolutely agree with, because the name we have doesn't make any sense in plain English. And that's where, in the bottom of the first revenue block, it says fund balance for CPA purposes. We're gonna change that to be
Budgeted reserve?
budgeted reserve.
Yeah.
Just-
And we're gonna call it, actually,
And that makes
each year,
sense,
we're gonna
yeah.
have, it's gonna have a year on it. It's gonna say fiscal, in this case, fiscal 2020 budgeted reserve. That's what the name is gonna be.
My only question on that piece is, do we need to do a vote as a board to make that change?
No, that's an accounting thing.
Okay.
That's, your accountant will just do that.
In fact, this has not been an issue, but it's been a question from the auditors.
They're gonna say, you say, what's that name?
In recent years, they were like, what is this?
You made that up, didn't you? Yeah.
No, I would think that it was, I know, it was the name, that when I became treasurer, it was the name.
That's
And
it.
I said to Stuart,
And
this
so,
is
and who
what,
was the treasurer before me?
That's it?
the accountant who was with the
was Tricia-
town when we
it was
first
Tricia.
adopted this, set
It was
these
Tricia
names
Fay.
up and.
Tricia Fay named it.
No, it wasn't
It's
Tricia,
before
it was a woman
Tricia.
actually named Joanne, I can't remember
Oh,
her
before
last
her?
name.
Duncan.
Duncan.
Yeah, no, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. But she had set all this up, and as Stuart said, that he, we were one of the first towns to adopt this.
Yeah, so we did it a certain way, and we've been doing
Yeah.
it
And we've
exactly
been
the
just-
That's
same
it.
way ever
Right,
since.
and-
That's it.
He's-
Why? Because that's what we did before.
And
But because
That's
it
it.
seemed to work.
That's it, and it made sense at the time.
right, and it's not anything wrong, it's just, there's a better way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So we will change that name, and.
Will you follow up with Anita on that?
Yeah, and we will combine the accounts and the warrants so that we don't have to read them out 3 times,
Okay.
even if they're the same thing. And if there's more things to combine, we'll combine them too. And we'll figure out the timing of the special reserves. They could be done earlier, we just use a different estimate. So those are the recommendations, and we will adopt them as they apply.
So help me God.
Okay. The next item is the consultant RFP.
So we received 2 back. One is from Central Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission, and the other, it's from Community Opportunities Group out of Boston. We can open them now if you want. My only hesitation, and I would recommend to the committee, is two of the people who are on your subcommittee are not here right now.
Yeah, I think it should be opened by the subcommittee.
Who else is on the subcommittee?
It's Jen and Sandy.
Okay,
And you are on the subcommittee. Because at this point, what we need to do is open them, kind of rate them based upon the criteria in the RFP. There are only two. It may make sense just to ask those two to come in and interview them, because you can get more information about prior projects they had. Certainly need to rate them though, and then
Yeah,
do the
my
interviews.
concern is though, is that if we open them now, then theoretically, someone could argue that without the entire selection committee being here,
Right.
that the person that's here could be prejudiced.
Right.
So I think that they should open them together.
I think it's a,
and just, I don't know if we
it's
set
why,
a
it's why
clock,
we put together the
running.
subcommittee, huh?
and if we set a clock running too, if these say that they're good for X number of days, once you open it, I don't know if it's from the day they, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know if that was in the
Sometimes they say
RFP.
these are good for
I
30
think all we
days.
did was we gave them a date that they had to submit it by.
Yeah,
And
I-
then from
they were
that
due
point, it becomes
yesterday.
an
Oh, so
internal
these are just-
determination.
I don't
They
think,
just came in
Fresh.
yesterday.
Yeah, okay.
Well, one of them, you know.
we don't wanna leave them hanging for an
No.
indefinite period of time.
So now that we have them, I think that what you want to do is set
If
up a meeting with your
Jen
committee.
gets here, I'll talk to her, try to find out in the next week or so.
Yeah, you and
And
Sandy,
then
you,
say
Jen and
to Sandy, these are the dates that Jen and I can meet, when can you meet?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then find out if Sandy's gonna be staying with us too.
Who? Sandy?
Sandy, we haven't seen her in months.
I know, we haven't seen her in a while.
They
I
have
did,
information on
Leah said she has been at the
what those are and
conservation
the
meeting,
priorities
so.
by our next meeting?
Certainly,
Board? Okay.
yeah. Because I was hoping this was gonna get done this summer, so. I really want to get this, this project done. Okay. Project updates. Open space and recreation plan.
I don't think there's
Oh,
anything
that's
new
Jen
on that.
Thomas.
We have the update on CPA plan.
Yep,
Institute Woods Trail feasibility.
that was one, did you see the note from,
Yep, you sent an email from Joe
yes,
that it sounded like there's some issues with elevation. They tried to match things up with trails on the private development. I didn't get a sense of when it was gonna get wrapped up though, or what input they need from us, if any.
I took that, Joe indicated in his email he hasn't had an opportunity to really look at the findings that they
Maybe
gave him.
that's what it was, that he didn't have time to even.
He hasn't had time to look at it, but he wanted to pass that on to us. There is work going on. I will follow up to see who will be taking that over. Who our point person on that will be. Not from this committee, but from that end.
Okay. Any additional update for the town records from
No,
Candy?
no, I haven't gotten any further word from
Okay.
her, just that she is interested, and if I don't hear from her soon, I'll follow up with her again.
Nothing on gravestones, Grafton Common Restoration.
Graves is still working on the engineering piece of it. Hope to get that wrapped up pretty
So
soon.
they still, because after we met last week, or 2 weeks ago, because you were gonna tweak them because they're the ones that are holding this up.
Partially. Nick Burnett has some information that they need to have incorporated into the report, and he's been a challenge to pin down to get that. So
Okay.
Bill Nicholson and I are working that. We've got probably about 2/3 of the details that we need. There's just a few pieces that we have left to
Okay.
iron out, and I expect we will soon.
But with the snow, that's pretty much, because for the tree issue, that was, the ground couldn't be frozen, and now we're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, it's gonna, for them to do the arborist to do the work, to know, which trees potentially would present a hazard if we remove too much of the root ball and, the impact on them. To do all of that evaluation, the ground can't be frozen. So that'll have to wait until late winter, early spring.
Okay. Weights and measures.
That was Dawn.
Dawn had sent an email that she had talked to Don Clark a couple of months ago. It didn't have up-to-date information in terms of when they're actually going to have the work begin. And it seems like in there it mentioned that the gentleman that's gonna do the work wanted payment up front, which we cannot, the town cannot do.
Right.
So,
Has that been resolved? Have they-
that was the first I heard of that, was through her report. We have a meeting next week, so
You'll follow
I'll
up with
follow
Don
up
Clark?
with
Okay.
them at that meeting. Because that was the first that I'd heard, that he needed to be paid up front.
Never heard of such a thing.
I mean, we just, they won't do it, so. Historic resources inventory. Did the selectmen approve the contract with the
Yes,
consultant?
yes.
Okay, so then that's moving forward. That'll be discussed also next week. Lions Club property engineering.
The good news is November 13th, they had a successful perk where the septic system is proposed to be located. The club's discussing the details on how they're going to do the design in the restroom, and Brian Cizerco is working with the club to do the design. He had some ideas on the road, as well as minimizing any or eliminating any concerns about the wetlands and so forth. So that was the big news. Was
On the road, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was asked if we could buy a CAD program, which is about $2,000, so that the design work could really be done in-house on the septic system.
Who's we?
Through highway.
Yeah, because Brian, I guess, would be able to do that work. But I don't see how, I've been trying to think about it, I don't see how we could do that. I don't,
CPC.
yeah, CPC funded,
CPA.
as
And it
opposed
just
to,
administrative funds are the only thing we'd have access to.
yeah. Because it would save money from having somebody else do it, right? Because it's the cost of the program versus hiring the work out.
And they don't have that.
No,
It's kind of,
Would there be benefit to having that for other things? I'm assuming.
could be. So are you okay with me calling Stuart and asking if this could
Mm-hmm.
potentially be somehow allowable through the administrative expenses?
or maybe say we'll pay half if they'll pay half, if we can pay half.
Right, okay. I'll
Not the
pursue it more.
Lions, but
Town,
the town.
My
Because they're
only-
gonna get
yeah.
the program and use it
for other
from
things.
here
You know,
on out.
that's an idea, though, of matching funds from the Lions. Maybe it pays for the Lions to buy it.
Why?
Who's gonna use the program?
Yeah.
Brian
Cizerco,
Cizerco.
Pardon?
Brian Cizerco.
Yeah, it's kind of, one might ask the question, how is this not a town expense?
yeah, that's
Right.
what I would say.
It's not.
And based on what Stuart has said when he was here, and granted he can clarify what my memory is here, but that if the town or someone asks us to use our administrative budget for something, the answer is generally going to be no.
Right,
Yeah.
And
well, right,
For instance,
unless we're in
yeah, for
agreement with it,
instance,
right?
but if we're proposing it, that's a different story. But it's like
Right.
if they're asking us, why are we going to do it? That's what I took out of that.
I think the bottom line on this is if it's gonna save us money and we're not gonna have to spend $10,000
Right.
to hire a consultant,
That's the
as long
the
as
only
it's
thing.
legal.
That's the thing, right, right.
You wanna make sure it's legal, because I would rather spend $2,000, even if the town kicked in nothing, because that's gonna save us
Yeah.
X project costs
Let me just
less
think out
too.
loud.
Can it be go ahead.
I was going to say, it would save us money if we had how many jobs are we gonna have where like Suzeraco, on loan from the town administrator, would be doing design work for us?
Or even like the common.
But the common, that's part of the design that's being done by the people that are contracted to do that. I think the Lions Club thing, I think, becomes the thing that's the exception to the rule, because we're using or maybe it would be used like in the playland there. The hell is
There's
that,
a-
Super Park?
Super Park.
I think there's two things to say about this. And one is he qualified to do the work of the designer architect that's gonna make the
Somebody would have
plans
to do
that
an
the
engineer's-
builders are gonna have to execute? Is he qualified to do the work?
He could do
Or
the
is he
work,
just
but somebody
doing-
would
is-
have to stamp it.
Is he just, well, is he
Okay.
just doing sketches? Or is he actually doing the design drawings, which I don't think he's probably qualified to do?
Okay, I'll find
If
out.
just doing sketches, I'm not sure how the money is saved.
Yeah, if it's a toy, I don't think we're
Because, you know,
interested. I would agree with
what
Justin.
he's doing requires some skill training and education that he may or may not have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll look into all of that.
Get back to us, will you?
Yeah, I'll have my people call you.
And
Have your people
and
call our
further,
people.
but on the other hand, if he were somehow is qualified to do that kind of work and can do it, and it isn't gonna have to be done again by somebody else,
Right.
then, do our grants have the flexibility to spend money, you know, slightly different ways in order to save on a project?
Right.
And if that's the case, would that cover it? They're spending, you know, they're spending money to get the job done, and they have a different way of spending it that gets it done cheaper.
It's like with the library, we were gonna get the, building permit cost waived, which is $250,000. But because this Mass Library Board pays for half of it, we're going ahead and including that, you know, paying. It's crazy, but you're getting half the money back, so. It's included,
right,
it's
that's
an
kind of-
includable
that's a-
expense. It's like a lot of this stuff, it doesn't make sense.
But
necessarily,
if,
but
if a grantee,
financially
you know,
it makes
finds a,
sense.
a different way that was, you know, a change in their plan that would save money, they have the authority, well, we have the authority to allow them to change the plan to save money. And this, if this is a change of plan to save money, we don't,
Right.
you know, that should just be okay.
And where I was going with it was if, you know, you always look for the grantees to have some sort of matching funds or in-kind services. And maybe this is something where the Lions Club could spend the money to buy the program.
But if it costs $10,000 to have someone do it, but Brian is skilled and
Right.
qualified to do it, that if he had this $2,000 tool, we
Right.
could get the whole thing done for $2,000 with the town contributing Brian's time.
Right,
Then
and
that should be something that we can just do.
if the Lions Club buys the program.
No.
Well,
If the
I-
Lions Club buys the program with our grant money.
No, I mean, if it's determined that CPA funds cannot be used to buy something like this,
But that's-
regardless of what,
but-
it's, even if it's saving us money, it's not an
No, but
allowable
we're not
use.
buying it. They got $75,000, whatever they got, part of their grant. They could use that money to buy this program.
Not if it's not an allowable expense. They've signed an agreement with us that says that they will not spend the money in any way that's not allowable under CPA guidelines.
But if their plan was to buy this program and have somebody, you know, one of their people do it using the program, that would be an allowed expense. If that were the original plan, it would be the plan.
I'm not in agreement with you on that, so we'll call Stuart.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I am in agreement with is if the Lions Club use their own money, right? Just like we often have people come in and say, you know, we're putting up this amount, Apple Tree Arts, we're putting up this amount, CPC's putting up this amount to make something happen, right? Apple Tree Arts has done their own fundraising to come up with their $10,000. The Lions Club comes in and says, we're going to use our money, not money that we've been granted from you, but we're going into our own coffers, and we will buy this program and we will gift it to the town. Or we're gonna buy the program, we're gonna keep it, but you can use it. That, there would probably be absolutely no question about, because CPA funds weren't used to buy the program.
But that's not equitable.
This says for design and engineering work to determine costs. So it's like, it doesn't say how you're gonna spend that money to get that design and engineering work. So if they have to use their grant to buy software to get that, to me, under that description, it fits. I mean,
But
run
then, then it goes back to Ken's concern. I mean, how valid is it if you've got somebody that's not,
I had two
Yeah, that's
separate
gotta be
concerns.
looked at.
I was saying, if that concern were met, I would think that they could probably purchase it under, under your concept, it would be okay to do, because it's just it's a way of
part of
getting that
getting
done.
the job done.
right.
All right,
The other
so-
question
I agree,
is he
yeah.
qualified, though? That's a separate question. Is he qualified to do it?
What work can he do, and how much additional expense will have to be expended to get the final plans? So are we spending $2,000 and we're gonna get exactly what he needs?
Or is it a sketch?
Or is it $2,000 and that's just gonna defray it a little bit because he's just starting the work that somebody else will finish, that will be a consultant that you pay?
all right,
To have the plan that the construction
Right.
people will execute.
Right. To me, it sounded like more, he's gonna do it, but an engineer that's licensed on everything for the town, require you to have this engineer stamp. And I don't know,
Something the planning board
that would have to
approve.
be whatever their name is, that we're holding up on the common,
Graves?
Graves.
Dewey and Louis,
That Graves would look at it and stamp it for whatever,
Something
for a
likely.
fee. No, I mean, they wouldn't stamp it without they would make sure that it was right.
All right,
Hi. Joanne's gonna note in the minutes that I
Oh.
arrived at 7:47, late, tardy.
Yes, the
But
bottom line
but
is Stuart
smiling.
will clarify this all.
Yeah, good. Okay, you're gonna have a hotline to him pretty
but I
soon.
agree with you.
We're getting our dues.
I mean,
with
I
our-
understand a little, I understand what you're saying now, and I see
But it needs to have a meaningful purpose.
Right.
And if there's an afterlife to it that the town can use, then to me, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Then, yeah, good news.
That's good news. It's a bonus.
Because hopefully we'll have CPC projects that will be using that in the future as well,
okay,
As long as we can get Brian's time to,
to do it.
to do the
And I
stuff.
think, I don't
Well,
see
you
that.
know, if they're saying that Brian is able to use the CAD, then are we good in drawing an assumption that he's certified?
No, we're
no,
gonna verify
those are
that.
entirely different
You have to be an
things.
engineer to like,
Exactly.
He is an engineer. I
did
know.
he get his,
I just don't know if he's licensed to.
no, but I mean, that's,
That's what we need to
to have
verify.
the stamp.
Yeah.
That's
If he
what's
is,
key.
good.
Yes.
To your point, Jim, too, it's like, when I was in high school and college, I was doing drafting as a trade at Bay Path, and I've learned how to use, different types of CAD programs. I can do a few different types of CAD stuff, but I'm not certified as an engineer. I could draw something. Is it right?
It's like
idea.
all architects, they have all the
Probably.
interns doing all the work,
It's changed since then, but-
Mostly.
but then the architect comes and looks at it, stamps it, and takes credit for it, so.
Yeah.
You know.
I know when I was in facilities, I was installing phone systems, and we were designing offices, and I'd do an AutoCAD for that. They'd print a blueprint, and I always wondered about that. Did I get away with that just because we were in the federal government? I mean, who am I? you
So
know?
who's going to follow up with this question with the Lions Club?
Well, that Lions Club is mine.
Okay, so we need to find out whether or not Brian is, has the appropriate certifications to
Yeah.
do the plan.
Did the request come through,
No, this is something that's been mulling around in the town administrator's office.
okay,
So,
The idea being if,
should save money, yes.
Yes,
That
to save
part
money.
we're all
right,
for.
so can we buy,
Worthwhile.
and my initial thought was
legal.
there's
Gets this
absolute,
task
right.
done differently than expected,
Right.
but done and cheaper.
And save money.
My initial reaction was there's absolutely no way CPA funds could be used to buy that program, but everybody here has swayed me.
oh,
But I will call Stuart.
We raised doubts in your
They
mind.
raised doubts. They're making me question myself,
Reasonable doubts.
reasonable doubts.
Okay.
Okay.
are we doing project
Can we,
updates?
Jen,
Yes.
one thing we did, we postponed the opening of, we got 2 bids for the for the CPA plan.
Okay.
You, Sandy, and John are on the subcommittee.
Okay.
We thought without all 3 of you here, it'd
We
be
need
best
to-
not to open them. Have
If
the three-
whoever doesn't get the bid, could say that they were disadvantaged because not everyone saw and had a chance to discuss the things at the same time. So,
Okay,
So they were thinking, just the three of you get together, open them,
okay.
rate
that's fine.
them, set up the
So after the meeting, we can talk about times, and then I'll talk to Sandy to see if
Yeah. I can
She
look at my
can-
calendar.
hook into one of the times that we can do.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
All right.
Did I miss the open space
Yeah,
update? Because
did-
I have one.
Okay, good. We'll jump back.
to it. Skipped over it.
All right. So, I don't know if everybody here has heard, but Joe Layden is
yeah, I
is
just heard,
leaving,
yeah, I
or
just found out
January
tonight.
6th, I think, or 10th is his last day. So he's been a little busy, so I just have a little short text. He is working to review the latest draft on the open space plan this week or weekend. So he wants to schedule a meeting the week of the 16th with the committee. And when I talked to him in passing, was it last week, the week before, I think there is still $3,000. Like, we have not spent, it's not, we haven't given them all the money yet. There's still,
It was
A
probably
little.
encumbered, and
Right.
that's why it could sunset.
well, right, but I mean, it looks, it's moving.
Yeah.
So I was delinquent last month, so I wanted to make sure that I got something. That's it.
Cisco Homestead, do you have a chance to talk to Ray?
I have not spoken with Ray yet. I did sign the paper,
Okay.
a few weeks ago, but I have not actually reached out. I was confused on the fact that Ray's email was on that paper, so I'll have to reach out to her and.
Yeah, and she's usually really good about getting right back to you, so
Yep.
she's not one of the hard-to-reach people that you sometimes will stumble across. She's been very good about communicating. Baseline reports.
The first draft of the reports are, both of the two reports are complete and are voluminous. They're both over 100 pages long,
Oh, my goodness.
with lots of custom text and photographs and waypoints. And upon review, a couple of comments were made, and they'll be incorporated, and then that will be there, and they'll be signed.
Is that typical
That's like
that
the
a
fastest project we've ever done.
baseline report is 100 pages? Is that- Or is it just the nature of the property that
No.
it requires that
No,
much?
they're both, the properties are, let's see, one is the Robinson part of the Silver Lake
Mhm.
Conservation Area, and the other, it was, what was the other one?
Something we paid for?
MAF,
Hmm?
MAF, MAF.
Oh,
I just
The-
blanked on it.
Oh, the Great
not-
Meadows,
The great, yeah,
No.
the-
Oh, Great Meadows Gateway,
yeah.
Okay, minutes.
and also not a very big piece, but, no, that's about what the reports are.
okay.
Yeah, it's not the boilerplate, they are custom reports.
so-
They look very nice, a lot of nice.
So what
pictures.
happens to those 100 pages? Do those get filed?
Those they get signed, and I guess a copy will go probably to the state because of their conservation department, DCR.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that the town can get one. And
But it's
we'll
not like this doesn't go on the deed or anything. This
No, they get filed with the interested parties.
is more conservation wanting to make sure that the property is maintained and
And they're supposed to be reviewed every year.
Mhm.
And they're used to compare, the review is less expensive because there's,
So
walk
do you,
around and-
then you hire somebody to review them rather than?
Or do it with volunteers, yeah.
To review the
It's-
properties, to make
Yeah,
sure
just
there's
to
been no
review them,
changes?
To review, look for changes.
Just to review those 100 pages is a big job.
Well,
But they
it's,
don't, you don't
mostly-
review the 100 pages, you use the 100 pages when you review the property.
No, but
Right.
that's a lot of data to say,
Oh, yeah,
okay, we're
okay, yeah.
checking all this stuff, you know?
Right.
It's not like,
It's, the review isn't so hard.
okay.
I would
So
imagine
The
based
answer
on,
is that they're just about done, and the invoices are in. We had granted $2,000 total. I think it's gonna be like 1,700
Wow.
actual.
Okay.
So I would
Right.
think for that much paper, you'd be paying a lot more.
It's all electronic too now, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
No, but that's a lot of writing.
work.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
yeah, let me call one.
Work,
Let's see.
sure. That's the best part, it's all electronic.
Just a PDF.
You said the invoices are in. Are you gonna sign them and?
I'll
get
sign them, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, the invoice is $3,400.
Oh, perfect.
It's good. So is this the land trust that has been doing this work, or
The
you?
land trust did it.
So we
yeah,
need to-
one of the directors in the land trust was in charge of it.
Who's that?
Karen Eisenhower.
We need to thank her for being so,
She basically got it
Efficient.
done before we got the grant agreement.
The project was underway when for a
Oh,
couple of
okay.
months. And the vendors were solicited and chosen and started up sort of concurrent with the application.
Okay.
So is that cheating?
why don't you sign it? No, but that's quick, we'd
You know
never
what happened?
move this quickly,
What
so
did Dodo?
she needs to be thanked for her.
So your admin assistant's a Dodo brain. The project lists I gave you, I didn't change the print areas, so the two most recent projects didn't print.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that Cisco and
Yeah,
Baseline are both
are missing, because I didn't change the print area, I'm
And then
sorry.
What's the other one that's in here?
Cisco Homestead.
And we have 4 entries that we didn't even have on our list for today.
That's because they're bond payments, I think, right?
Pell Farm, Townhouse
Yep.
Accessibility, Stone Arch Bridge.
So
And-
Stone Arch Bridge is done, I need to move it off of here. Pell Farm, we don't put on the updates because it's a simple bond payment.
Yep.
Same with the community house,
Yeah, townhouse accessibility.
And then Purchase of Robinson is also on there.
and that's, because that's done too. I forgot to take them off of here. So I didn't change my print area, and I didn't take off the completed projects.
She's
Can I have my
juggling
pen?
a lot
Yes, you may.
at
Of
her
course.
work.
You can keep it. I'm done.
Thank you.
It'll be reflected in your yearly appraisal.
All her phone calls from the chairman. Okay, is there anything else
Ooh, do I get to make the motion to
not
adjourn?
reasonably anticipated
Better hurry.
needs to be discussed?
I got nothing
Well,
to
you're
say.
asleep at the wheel.
No, I relate.
Gentlemen.
See, it makes it show that I was here at the meeting, not in another meeting. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in
Jumped on
favor?
that.
Motion carried. We are adjourned at 5 till 8.